Number 1. The day that God took over the battle. The story of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, provides helpful instruction on prayer and trusting God when we face severe trials. Jehoshaphat was a king who made it a priority to follow the Lord and work towards reconciling the Israelites with God. He ruled in the southern kingdom at the same time that the wicked Ahab ruled in the north. Jehoshaphat was a good king, but he had a character flaw, which was that he made unwise alliances with the godless Ahab. He went into battle with Ahab and almost lost his life. He arranged for his son to marry Ahab and Jezebel's wicked daughter, Athaliah. Later on, she eliminated everyone in the Davidic line, with the exception of Jehoshaphat. Also formed an ill-fated business alliance with Ahab's son, Ahaziah. Jehoshaphat was shaken up one morning when his intelligence sources came rushing in with the horrifying news. 2 Chronicles 20 verses 1-3. Now it came about after this that the sons of Moab and the sons of Ammon, together with some of the Meunites, came to make war against Jehoshaphat. Then some came and reported to Jehoshaphat, saying, "A great multitude is coming against you from beyond the sea, from Aram, and behold, they are in Hazazon Tamar, that is En-gedi." Jehoshaphat was afraid and turned his attention to seek the Lord, and he proclaimed a period of fasting throughout Judah. What would you do if you heard threatening reports that impacted your future and life? This godly king did the right thing. He called a national prayer meeting and encouraged the people to trust God in the face of this overwhelming crisis. They did it, and literally won the war by prayer alone, without swinging a single sword. Their story teaches us that Jehoshaphat reminded the Lord that the Jews were his covenant people. Jehoshaphat went to the temple to pray. The temple where Jehoshaphat was praying was God's sanctuary and the place where he promised to hear and answer prayer. Those to whom Israel had once shown kindness were now coming to destroy her and take away her land. Jehoshaphat closed his passionate appeal and, with all Judah, stood before the Lord awaiting his answer. Then, in the midst of the assembly, the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jahaziel, the son of Zechariah, the son of Benaiah, the son of Jael, the son of Mattaniah, the Levite of the sons of Asaph. And he said, "Listen, all you of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and King Jehoshaphat, this is what the Lord says to you. Do not fear or be dismayed because of this great multitude, for the battle is not yours but God's. Tomorrow, go down against them. Behold, they will come up by the ascent of Ziz, and you will find them at the end of the valley in front of the wilderness of Jerul. You need to fight in this battle. Take your position. Stand and watch the salvation of the Lord in your behalf, Judah and Jerusalem. Do not fear or be dismayed. Tomorrow, go out and face them, for the Lord is with you." 2 Chronicles 20, verses 14-17. The Spirit of the Lord was expressed through Jahaziel, dispelling the fear that had grabbed the nation. The battle was God's. The people had only to go out the next day and see what he had done. Even before their victory came to pass, the people rejoiced in their victory by faith. At dawn the following day, they awoke to see what the Lord had done. Their march to the battlefield resembled a festival with singers leading the way. When they began singing and praising, the Lord set ambushes against the sons of Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir, who had come against Judah, so they were struck down. For the sons of Ammon and Moab rose against the inhabitants of Mount Seir, completely destroying them. And when they had finished with the inhabitants of Seir, they helped to destroy one another. When Judah came to the watchtower of the wilderness, they turned toward the multitude, and behold, they were corpses lying on the ground, and there was no survivor. When Jehoshaphat and his people came to take their spoils, they found much among them, including goods, garments, and valuable things which they took for themselves, more than they could carry. And they were taking the spoils for 3 days because there was so much. Then on the 4th day, they assembled in the valley of Barakah, for they blessed the Lord there. Therefore, they have named that place the Valley of Barakah until today. Every man of Judah and Jerusalem returned with Jehoshaphat at their head, returning to Jerusalem with joy, for the Lord had helped them to rejoice over their enemies. They came to Jerusalem with harps, lyres, and trumpets to the house of the Lord. And the dread of God was on all the kingdoms of the lands when they heard that the Lord had fought against the enemies of Israel. So the kingdom of Jehoshaphat was at peace, for his God gave him rest on all sides. 2 Chronicles 20, verses 22 to 30. Upon Judah's arrival, the only thing left was collecting the spoil, which took 3 days. Their joy was unbounded as they returned to Jerusalem singing praises to the Lord. The neighboring countries took notice, and Judah enjoyed peace. What an unusual strategy, but it turned out to be the most effective. The enemies ended up fighting themselves, and Jehoshaphat's prophetic word that they would not need to fight in the battle was fulfilled. Jehoshaphat's response was to raise an altar of praise when he encountered enemies greater than him and his nation. Hostile nations, each bigger and stronger than Judah, joined forces to fight. The thought of what could happen to them terrified the king. If the king was terrified, then the citizens felt helpless. But King Jehoshaphat reminded himself that he had a mighty source of strength. So he gathered all of Judah to pray and fast as they sought the help of the Lord. In the prayers, God said they should go to the battle with praise. Praise brought God into that battlefield. Many Bible characters were people of praise and worship because they saw God as more significant than their circumstances. It's easy to read this story and miss what a great thing it was for Jehoshaphat to call the nation to prayer over this crisis. It would have been very human to panic. When he heard the news of this army within his borders, we could understand if he yelled, "Call all my top generals! Get the army mobilized immediately! We don't have a second to waste!" As soon as the troops were mustered, if there was time, he could have stopped for a quick word of prayer. But for Jehoshaphat to turn his attention to seek the Lord and to call the nation to prayer and fasting was not automatic. Not only could Jehoshaphat have reacted with panic, he also could have felt angry toward God.